Hi, this is Graham Helfrich, Technical Advisor Manager for the Engineering Software here at IHS Markit. Welcome to the weekly Did You Know episode, where we learn how to do something of value that you probably didn't know about your IHS Markit engineering software. Today we're going to learn how to roll up our forecasts or consolidate them. What do I mean by that? It means we're going to take many individual declines or forecasts for our wells and combine them all together to see our consolidated forecast, or the sum of all those individual forecasts. It's going to be really quick and easy, so let's check it out. So here in Harmony Enterprise, I've got about 1,000 wells. I've already done decline analysis on each of them, but I'm going to focus on rolling up the forecasts for 140 of the wells for operator number one. So you can do this either for your daily operated data or monthly production volumes from something like Enerdeck or AccuMap. Now, if we look at one of these wells here, I can see we've already applied a forecast here. And in fact, I have two interpretations. One, I've done a 7% DLIM or terminal decline. And I've also done a 10% DLIM or terminal decline. And I've named these declines as you see here. This name is really important, and that name has to be consistent among my wells in order to roll them up. If we look at another well, we also have, again, those two different interpretations, two different forecasts for the well. Now, I've automated this using Harmony Enterprise. In fact, if you want to learn how to automate your declines, I recommend checking out episode number 11, where I explain this process. In fact, you can do forecasts for 1,000 wells in under 9 minutes in Harmony Enterprise. Okay, so how do we roll all these up? Well, the first thing I can do is I want to make a group, and I can pick all these wells for this operator, 140 wells. I drag them down below, and I'll call this my roll up. Okay, so within the group level, I'm going to go ahead and do a rate versus time plot. Now, this is the sum of all the historical production data for all 140 wells. So at my peak, we were producing 107 million cubic feet per day from all these wells combined, and right now we're at about 30 million cubic feet per day. There's two things I can do. If I want to just kind of do the most simple, basic forecast, we can add a decline, and it will simply fit through the total rate for the field or for the group. This is pretty basic, so maybe I'll call this my basic forecast, no roll up. But instead, what I want to do is pick this forecast consolidation option here. I'm just going to kind of clean up these grids. I don't want them here. And I'm also going to get rid of this DLIM indicator. Okay, so I'm going to add a forecast consolidation, and you'll notice that I can pick one of two options. This is the name I gave each of my declines at the well level. So if I pick my 7%, okay, right away we get this forecast here. So this is the sum of all those individual declines for each well. So I can call this my roll up 7% DLIM. Okay, so this is our consolidated forecast at 7%. Let's go ahead and add the same thing now, but for our 10% DLIM. Okay, it is right here. And we'll rename this Okay, so we can very easily see the impact on our total roll-up when we make two different interpretations at the individual well level with a 7% versus a 10% DLIM. Okay, hopefully your minds are blown at how easy that was. The next thing I want to do is do a roll-up considering tying in new wells or PUD wells into this forecast. So I'm going to go and use the type well that I've created within Harmony Enterprise. And in fact, this is a type well normalized by the lateral length of each well. And you can check out episode number 25 to learn how to do this within Harmony Enterprise, how to normalize your type wells by anything. Okay, so we're going to take this type well forecast, and this is basically a forecast or EUR per 1,000 feet. I'm going to copy this forecast over to my clipboard. The reason I'm going to do that is if I go back to my GIS map, I've got some PUD wells here that I want to plan here, and I want to give them each a forecast. So for this PUD well, we're going to make a rate versus time plot. Of course, there's no history yet. We're going to take the type well from our clipboard, drop it over here, and we can see this is our forecast. Now this is the forecast for a 1,000-foot lateral. I'm going to use a multiplier factor because these wells are actually going to have a 10,000-foot lateral. So I'm just going to simply multiply the initial rate by 10. Okay, so we get that forecast that way. So naming this type well is important. Okay, so I want to rename it the same name that I have my individual wells as their forecast name, because I want to roll this up with them. All right. So for each of these PUD wells, I've done the same thing. Something you can do as well is delay the start time for when these wells are going to begin contributing. Okay, so I've staggered these 5 PUD wells to begin 1 year after each other. So they each already have this type well assigned to them. Okay, so next what we need to do is go ahead and make a new group, and this time we are going to pick all these wells with the individual declines. We're going to rename this our roll up with PUDs. Okay, and to that group we're actually going to add these PUDs with the type wells assigned and scheduled. Okay, so we can see that they are kind of added amongst these wells. So now when we go to do our forecast consolidation of this group with the PUDs, let's see what happens. Okay, hopefully you're seeing what I see here. When we zoom in, we see these are the scheduled PUD wells being added to the forecasts from the individual declines. Okay, and what's interesting is it's pretty dynamic. So this well right here is basically when PUD well number 5 is scheduled to start. But if we go ahead and we can simply find it and remove it from our roll-up group, then we go back and check it out, and now we see there's only 4 wells being added. So this is how easy it is to do roll-ups with or without PUD wells and type wells being added. Okay, and it's really that easy. But what does this mean for you? Well, first, if you've been doing your forecast consolidations in a more time-consuming way, well, guess what? You've just saved yourself a ton of time using Harmony Enterprise like I showed you here. Secondly, if you need to know the impact of changing your decline parameters when rolling up to the field level, I've just showed you how easy this can be for you. And that's it. Thanks for watching. If you have any questions, definitely call or email me, and subscribe to be notified of next week's Did You Know episode.